Pixar finally gave us a trailer for their next movie, Hoppers. And I have to admit, I kind of overlooked this movie for a while, but now that I'm actually seeing footage of it, I'm super excited. It seems like even with the recent failures they've been having with their new movies, they still keep on giving us original content, which I think we can all be happy about. If we're being honest, there's some serious pressure for this movie to perform, because after this, we only have one more confirmed original movie in the works called Gato. And if Hoppers fails next year while Toy Story 5 breaks records, don't be surprised if we don't see many originals past that point. The first thing that caught my attention with this new trailer is how it seems like Pixar is shifting their art style with this, at least just a little. The bean mouth style, whatever you want to call it, that Pixar's been using for the last 5 years, it looks like they're toning it down just a bit, instead going for something that kind of reminds me of the Spark shorts. Now, I personally was never someone who was bothered by the bean mouth style. I thought it was kind of a cool evolution of the Pixar art style, and I think it worked well for the movies that did use it, but I know there were people who felt strongly against it, and even though I wasn't one of them, it is cool to see Pixar changing it up a little bit and trying something new. Regardless of the style, the visuals really do look amazing, especially the outdoor scenes in the woods, where you can see just how intricate the lighting is behind the trees and everything. This movie looks beautifully rendered. Looking at some of those shots, you could almost mistake them for being live action. It reminds me a lot of the realism we got with The Good Dinosaur. Of course, if you've seen that movie, the visuals were groundbreaking for the time. The visuals in Hoppers look a lot like that, but much more stylized this time around, and definitely an improvement if you ask me. As far as the concept of this movie, I do have to admit it is kind of strange, but then again, what isn't with Pixar? They've done some weird concepts in the past, and weird doesn't always mean bad. When I heard it was called Hoppers, I immediately thought of Hopper, the villain from A Bug's Life, but apparently it has something to do with transferring consciousness into an artificial animal suit. I have no idea where they get the name Hoppers out of that concept, but I guess we'll figure that out soon enough. I also like how they mention Avatar in the trailer. I thought that was pretty funny.
Guys, this is like Avatar.
This is nothing like Avatar!
But this is also very similar to something that Pixar themselves did. Of course, I'm talking about Soul, where we have the same concept of body swapping with animals, except the main difference is that it was more of a spiritual thing in Soul, whereas with Hoppers, it's going to be through technology. We also got our first look at the main character, Mabel. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I really don't like the character design they gave her, if I'm being completely honest. The clothing and everything is really lacking any personality that would make this character iconic. And of course, I'm not a fan of them making characters that feel too neutral. I really couldn't even tell at first if this was supposed to be a guy or a girl character until she speaks later in the trailer. I really do wish Pixar would stop doing this, to be honest. It really waters down their characters' personalities, and I think it would be really nice to have some clearly defined character personalities, because as it stands, I really don't see Mabel being iconic. I just don't. Either way, I have some hope that this character may just be likable enough to get through the movie. It seems like she's gonna be an animal form for most of the runtime anyway. And speaking of the Pixar theory, because of course I'm big on that with this channel, this movie seems like it could actually pose a really good explanation for why certain animals and toys and things like that are able to take on human personalities while others aren't. I probably won't even bother trying to theorize until we have more info, but it's food for thought. I also can't forget to mention, I have a strange feeling that this movie is a rebranded version of Newt. If you don't know what Newt is, it's a movie Pixar was working on a while back that was supposed to come out around 2011, 2012. There was even a reference to it in Andy's room in Toy Story 3, but unfortunately the idea ended up being scrapped and nobody's really spoken of it since. Now, if by chance you've seen Elio in theaters and stayed after the credits, you would have seen that they actually had a teaser for Hoppers that involved a lizard character, which looked a lot like the one from Newt. This is of course just a theory, but one that I really feel is true. All in all, Hoppers looks like it might actually be one of Pixar's more interesting ideas in a while. The visuals are incredible, the concept is definitely weird but in a good way, and it has the potential to tie into some deeper Pixar lore if they really lean into it. Of course, we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out, but I'm definitely more excited for this than I thought I'd be. Hopefully it lives up to the potential, and who knows, maybe this could be the surprise comeback Pixar really needs right now. Let me know what you guys think of the trailer. Are you into the concept? Do you think it could actually be connected to Newt? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed, a like is always appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.